pleased to have with us today our social equity entrepreneurs, change makers, and heroes. Have our lovely moderator, Thunder Walker, who is the principal of the Thunder Walker Experience. Sarah Stenuf, founder and CEO of Ananda Farms, founder and CEO of Veterans Ananda Incorporated. Nicole Buffong, National Community Program Director for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Leo Bridgewater, our all favorite cannabis OG. Co-founder Heart Community Capital, co-founder Collective 360 New Jersey. And Solonje Burnett, co-founder, CEO Humble Bloom, co-founder Chief Culture and Community Officer. Thunder, take it away.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Wow, thank you, Gretchen. So welcome to the CWCBExpo. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be on and popping. Let's talk. Let's make some things happen. I need you to pass the spirit stick because we're about to have a pep rally in here today. Let's do this thing. First of all, I really want to welcome you guys to come in and just listen to these experts and all that they have to offer. When they start talking about superheroes, I really was interested in this panel. So I hope that we can bring about everything you need to know about the experience. First of all, let's start with you, Nicole. Let's start. Okay.
Hello.
Was it your drive as an entrepreneur that led you to the cannabis industry in the first place, or was it something else first and then you built a cannabis brand?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for moderating this lovely panel, Thunder. So my drive to the cannabis space was because I'm a patient. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2017, and it's what catapulted me into this space. I found the founder of Minorities for Medical Marijuana, Roz McCarthy, online because I was doing my research. I was looking for an organization that I could be a part of to help with the advocacy. I knew how important it was to have access to cannabis as medicine after getting that diagnosis. And I was in Georgia. So Georgia still is a blank spot. And so I knew that I needed resources, and I found this amazing organization, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, started by Roz McCarthy in 2016. Just a year after I got diagnosed is when they were discovered. And so I put my all. I made sure I met Roz and launched the chapter in Georgia, and then launched the chapter in Nevada a couple of years later when I moved there. And so now I work in a national role with the organization. So I've made a career out of this work, and I'm an advocate. I'm a lobbyist. I'm passionate about making sure that patients have safe access to medicine. And so that's what pursued the entrepreneurship. Purple Plant Magic was born out of that. And I'm a consultant. I advise people on how to get into this space, how to use cannabis as medicine, and how to become a part of the billion-dollar legal global industry.
Oh, I love that. And, you know, I can just really tell, yes. You know, that's what it's about. Sometimes you have something that hits you so hard in your chest,
Right.
but it starts you on your way.
That's right.
And so I love that. And how about you?
Well, thank you all for having me here today. We definitely, personally myself, I'm a combat veteran. I got out for seizures due to a TBI and then post-service issues like PTSD, insomnia, like a lot of us vets. And I was on a slew of medications to the point where it was just making my social, psychological issues, not just work, but unbearable. And after 2 failed suicide attempts and on this path of complete and total self-destruction in and out of institutions, jails, you name it, I finally said enough is enough, and I connected with a fellow vet who reintroduced me to cannabis. It no longer was that high school joint and, you know, smoking in the woods before school. I was now introduced into it as now a medical thing. And as I started utilizing cannabis, I started realizing my take as needed medication was falling off my list. I was going out more, I was a better wife, I was a better spouse. And that drove me to educate myself about who I am and about the plant. And I had this connection with the plant. And then comes the cost of it. I'm going on the black market, not knowing how I'm buying it, where I'm buying it, the cost of it. So that got me into growing it. And then when I got to growing it, I connected with the agrocognitive therapy behind it. Get my hands in the dirt. I'm back to that veteran lifestyle, that mission essential, that purpose. If I'm not up, those plants are dying. And this plant sparked my life, and I got into farming again. And I created a social media alias, Happy Healing 420, which is what we're DBA'd from. And I just connected with people online. And this was about 8 years ago, just through Instagram, social media accounts, just connected with other crazy people using fungi and botanicals to treat themselves. And one constant thing was just shutting up and listening, realizing my vets and a lot of people in the community whose issues run parallel to ours, we're all preaching we want the same thing, but there's no place to go it. So private and public health care are issues, safe, equal access, but our post-service issues are still there and they're prevalent. So it was more of like a build it, they were come for me. And for me, it was, I created a social media alias that turned into a brand. That brand had a narrative and created loyalty and trust, and that came into the entrepreneur I am today. But getting out of the military as an Apache crew chief, I had no idea I'd be an entrepreneur in this industry, but I love it, and I'm blessed.
Thank you for your service, first of all. Thank you for your service and all that you've done for this country. But, you know, that's what's so interesting about your story is no one's left behind, and you're not leaving any of your fellow soldiers behind. I love that. I love that. What about you?
Oh, wow. So a lot of, I got started in this let's just say in 2016, I testified in Senate committee to have post-traumatic stress disorder added as a qualifying condition to the New Jersey medical marijuana program, and Governor Christie signed our bill into law, officially making PTSD the first mental health allowable condition, and then also working with candidate Murphy, who then became Governor Murphy, to expand the medical marijuana program, and then also with doing a lot of advocacy to get from just medical to adult use and being successful in 2020. Born and raised out of Trenton, New Jersey. I'm also the National Director of Veterans Outreach with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. I came in year one of M for MM, and so after that, doing a lot of the advocacy work, not just in New Jersey, but also here in New York. One of my first ever events I did with Sarah and a mattress, remember that? A mattress store in Brooklyn. That was our first community event where we were actually talking about this. And since then, I've actually served on the advisory board of the CWCBExpo. I'm also on the advisory board for Ananda Farms, Happy Healing 420 with Sarah's company, and also hooked up with my business partner, Eugene Monroe, retired offensive lineman with the Baltimore Ravens and one of the co-founders of Green Thumb Industries. And, you know, we're looking to evolve from the advocacy space into the entrepreneurial space. In fact, it was through advocacy is how the business revealed itself to me. And so doing all of the, Sarah and I have been to DC, God knows how many times, hooping and hollering about this. And I really pride myself on being the reason, you know, Sarah's the same way. She'll tell you, we both pride ourselves on being the reason why you don't give the veterans the microphone, because we'll say it. We're very, very comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's what it takes right now. And so being that we're now in 2023, you know, we have to go from hypothetical and theory into practical application. And that's what you see. What Sarah and I are providing right now through our advocacy and through our work, we're providing a better return on investment than a suicide for all you taxpaying citizens.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Also, the commitment, the total commitment, frontline commitment. That's the, you know, it takes that. It really, really does to push your way through. You know what I'm saying? And I just listening to you and your story, it just tells me that not only are you pushing your way through, but you're also leaving a door open for the next person and the next person. So thank you. Thank you.
Leave no man behind.
Leave no man behind. Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Solonje. So grateful to be here with all of these luminaries in the industry. It's just an honor and pleasure. For me, I think it's not a personal story. It's always been about community and who is being left out of situations, who's been made to feel uncomfortable, who's been stigmatized, demonized, and cast aside. Who are the marginalized groups that I can uplift while I'm climbing myself in places that are challenging? So that's always been my motivation. I also think I look at this from a very holistic approach of how do you make people feel safe? How do you give them education and access to information? So I came out of the space of company culture and putting together intersectional experiences for businesses that were startups, fast-growing startups. It was really a heart-led project. It was something called Live in the Gray, and it really took into consideration everybody's identities and how can we make space for them so that they can flourish and grow in a workspace. And that came to an end because nobody cares about making sure people are cared for. So once that was over, a friend who was doing physical therapy, massage, those kinds of things, she wanted to be hooked up with somebody who could get THC oils in New York, and that was about 6 years ago, so that she could have her own products and help heal people. She talked to me and another friend, and that led to us starting Humble Bloom, which for 5 years created experiences that were rooted in uplifting marginalized groups. We did a lot of education, amplification of other brands. It was really about connecting community and giving them access to this plant that they need so desperately. Fast forward 5 years now, I am doing a lot of mainstreaming of cannabis and really launched a lot of partnerships for people. And we continue to do that really with Black, queer, women-owned brands, linking arms and being collaborative rather than competitive, and making sure that people have a fair shake in an industry that was literally built around their blood, sweat, and tears, and they're on the bottom ranks. And I'm just so grateful, again, to be in this community with these incredible human beings. So thank you, Thunder.
Awesome, awesome. Those are some wonderful, wonderful strides that you guys have made in the industry. And you know, when you first get in an industry, especially something that is new but yet old, you get in and you find things that you just quite don't like. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that. What voids did you find when you first got in the industry and you decided, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that this is happening? So tell me a little bit about that. Who wants to go first?
I can go quick. I think for me, it was just constantly sitting in circles of sameness. I thought there would be more diversity and more reflection of, you know, this plant naturally in the community. Like, to have a social equity panel, but like, you know, who comes to listen to it? You know, who's really committed to that by hiring us and doing all of those things that they need to do to actually commit some generational wealth and change in, like, this should be a catalyst for change, this plant, this movement. And I was really shocked to just see, like, people still doing the, like, sitting at the same table with the same people instead of extending arms and being like, how can we work together to push this forward?
Right.
And competing with each other in such a nasty way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm just going to say this because I'm looking out into this crowd right now, you know, and I'm looking at folks, and there's a lot of people here who's been here. This is probably their third or fourth time at a CWCBExpo, and you know, there are more people who have been here before than that haven't, which isn't not been the case in years past. So at this point, I think they've all, like, we got people here who want instruction, because we have to go beyond hypothetical and theory, and we have to talk about practical application, because I think there's a lot of people here who come Monday are going to want to fill out some sort of piece of paperwork to get their business going.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the things that I thought, you know, I think about all the time in terms of where are we at this time in time. It's 2023, and we still talking like it's 2019. And we have to go beyond that. Now, what I will tell you is that, for instance, in New Jersey, we have what is called a technical assistance program, all right? And I see a couple of the people I see a couple of big people here who actually contributed to that program. Safita Artist Mills and hip-hop legend Redman actually have real, actual receipts who actually did the work, you know, to get this happening. So we actually are adopting the Just Us Foundation's Executive Director Cheryl Murray Powell's definition of legacy. We offer technical assistance in the form of education, Business 101, 102, And then we also offer access to capital in the form of grants, $150,000, $250,000 grants. So if you are someone who is legacy, you can go and fill out some piece of paperwork on Monday and start working towards getting your license, and you are not precluded because of the fact that you actually were in legacy. See, this is the stuff that we were saying, like, all right, look, this shit got to happen right fucking now. Excuse my French, but y'all already know. I'm just speaking in terms of this is the time. It's 2023.
No, take the Band-Aid off. Take the
Yeah,
Band-Aid
okay,
off.
fuck it
Take
then.
off.
Shit got real, because this is what we here for, right? And so, again, you know, these things are happening. Listen, y'all, I'm saying this because he's sitting right there in front of me, but y'all really need to go listen to what Redman is saying. Y'all really need to go listen to, you see the chick next to him, Sophia Artist Mill? Y'all need to go talk to them, because the shit that they done put themselves into and what we got going on in New Jersey is real. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't theory. This is real. We just came out with the numbers last week, y'all, last month. New Jersey did $555 million from April 21st of 2022 to April 21st of 2023. And we did over $500 million with 400 and something municipalities in the state saying no to this shit, and less than 40 or something dispensaries throughout the entire year. And that's what we did. So we only did, so that's 10% of the, that's indicative of just 10% of what we could really do. So what we need to do is we have to update our line of questioning. And the thing is we have to also stop talking to just each other.
Right.
We got to get this message in. We got to tell people what to do, where to go, and everything like that, especially the people that that's not even here. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who need to have this information that need to know what in the hell is going on.
Absolutely.
Because we can't keep allowing people to define this for us and stay stagnant and just sit here and complain and talk shit and everything like that when it's like, oh, nah, hell no. You know, I'm sorry. I'm just looking outside and I'm like, really? Let's go.
Let's go. I love it. I love it.
Well, how the fuck you pass that?
You got receipts in Jersey too, Sarah. I'm saying,
Exactly.
you know.
But
Come on.
the thing with the voids, I mean, when we started even 8 years ago when I got into this, I'm seizure free now off all my medications, and fast forward 8 years. But back then, thank you. Back then, the situations are similar now, but there's more access and affordability and loopholes that we're finding around it. So when I first got into this and saw veterans, again, a lot of us veteran issues run parallel to many other communities. And our biggest thing for me was, well, there's private and public health care. Both of them are screaming that they want the money and do it, but there's no way to navigate and do it. So instead of stopping and asking for permission or thinking if something's right, I just illegally healed myself, and I shut up and listened to other people. And the voids we're looking at are in public health care. They're in private health care. When health care in general is in a politician's or another man's hands, that's bullshit. We need to get back our health care. We need to get back our systems. And the way we do that is, like Leo said, we get the communication out there, we get the education out there, and we help one another. They're going to sit here and they're going to leverage from New Jersey to New York. They're going to leverage social equity versus social justice, prioritizing one over another at a certain time. And then what do you get? You create chaos. You create division. What we need is unification at this time. We need a diversified community that likes fairness and equality. And for us, as a farmer, I look back going, you're telling us to grow it, but yet we don't have any infrastructure. And if you don't have infrastructure, then you don't have textile. And you don't have textile, you don't have product, let alone research and science. And the same thing is within medicine, within research in itself, within the vet community. Our diversified communities need to stay diverse. And throughout the years, one void that constantly is lacking is whether or not you put shit on a platter or wrap it in gold. It's constantly, from state to state, they have been failing in social equity. They are falling short in social justice. And the voids we are trying to make in diversifying our community is not just making our community more diversified to embrace our communities. We will make advancements in research and science and technologies if we get our head out of our ass and create the infrastructure to do it. But it comes with research and education and community.
That's right. Well said. Well said. I think one of the biggest voids for me, I worked especially the last 3 years globally in African and Caribbean communities, and what hurt me the most, I'm West Indian American, first generation. My father was a Ras. And so when I don't see enough of the Rastafarian community, those tribes that have kept those genetics alive for decades, we wouldn't have lamb's breath in Jamaica, for example, if it were not for Rastafarian tribes risking their lives, their families, their lands, having to exile themselves for decades. And to see these countries come online and not include them and not even attempt to have a conversation with them to say, you belong here, we owe you. I mean, yes, the social justice, social injustice right here in the United States, of course, and my understanding of how it works here in the United States has helped me advise and consult globally, and that's probably one of the biggest voids that I've seen, and that it continues to happen, and it requires us educating ourselves, of course, but also educating the people that are making these decisions. Because, for example, in South Africa, the biggest hemp hotel built completely out of hemp, industrial hemp, is in its almost last phase of completion. They used hemp, they just made hemp legal in South Africa. They used hemp to build this building from Europe, from Germany. Why? Because the hemp that the South African farmers were allowed to farm, they had to use genetics from Germany. They weren't even allowed to use the genetics that are native to the South African land. They outlawed them. If it didn't have a certain percentage of THC, no, you can't grow it here. So you're growing seeds from Germany in Africa. Why? You have perfectly good seeds in Africa. Why not do the research, understand how the plant grows there, allow the people that have been keeping those genetics for 100 years now to participate in that space? And so that was something that I've seen it's still a void, and I'm working hard. We're working hard globally to really, my family at ACAM, shout out to the Knox doctors and Dashida, I sit on the board of an organization called ACAM, Association of Cannabis Health Equity and Medicine. And so we are setting up chem hubs globally because that's where the education is. We're partnering with universities globally to set up these chem hub campuses, and that will give the education, allow the research to happen. We're demanding that they use local genetics to the places that we're going to be and partner with, and hopefully we change that concept, because I don't want to see us falling into this trap of colonized seeds. That doesn't even make any sense. We need to be growing seeds that are indigenous to the land of where they come from, because cannabis grows really naturally and indigenously in places closer to the equator. Where's that? Places where people of color are. And so they've been the ones that have been most marginalized, and we want to change that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love this. I love, pulling the scab off, and it's excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and step away from my script, and I'm going to ask some of the hard questions. And one of the hard questions that I really want to know is what we're doing for the youth, the next generation, to make sure that people of color are teaching our children how to farm, how to cultivate, how to process. What are those next steps? Should it be mentorship? Should companies be
Recognition from the government.
Remove DARE from schools.
Yep.
Well,
remove cannabis from DARE in schools.
The lack of education and training, because you can't, it's something that's embedded into the military, embedded into everybody, and you look at organizations and businesses, a lot of them fail because lack of training and lack of consistent training. One of the many reasons franchise models fall on their face and lose quality assurance and efficiency is because lack of training. Us in America, the training that's been embedded to us is disgusting.
It's old, yeah.
We got a stigma to get rid of. We got training we need to implement. But one thing we need to remember is there is a thing called creating generational wealth, and that's beautiful and great, and do it. But creating generational stability, that takes time and practice and effort from us as a community. To create the stabilization we need, the wealth will come. But that comes with education, that comes with training, and that comes with recognition of what we've done wrong and fixing it.
I think that what we have to do is, first and foremost, as a people in a society, we have to re-engage in our most basic of civic responsibilities, and that is voting. This has been the single greatest civics, real-world civics lesson of my life. And what we have to do is we have to start making folks understand that that cannabis vote is real. Okay, and once you start doing that, you know, once you start filling those seats and making people understand that, you know, this right here, this plant, because I always say we have two types of people. You got Jetsons and you got Flintstones. And you know who they are based off the words that they're using. So if they still saying things like gateway drug, I already know I know more than you. That's like someone who still says gateway drug, that's the equivalent of someone who still calls black people colored. Like, what year are you? You know, we could tell. And then you have a bunch of people here who are first generation entrepreneurs in the space, and they've done the same thing that a lot of us have already done, which is they bought the video game and started playing it without reading the directions. And you're up there bumping your head, and then you realize that, you know what, at some point I need to read the directions because I need to know what buttons do what. And then when you do that, then you realize some of you are playing on the PS4 and some are playing on the PS5. So again, you know, it's education, but it's also activating politically too. Again, look at UEP, and real quick, shout out to Penny Wild and those folks with the New Jersey Business Action Center. They're with the State Department, and they have a table here. So you need to take your asses on over there and go figure out what the hell is going on in New Jersey in terms of what your business is. And I'm sorry, but you just need to know, if people want to know what to do, take your ass over there or go talk to UEP. Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, I saw. So with regards to educating children and educating our community, all of the investment currently that I'm doing, I'm a part of something called the Floret Coalition, which is an anti-racist collective of businesses, which we actually educate them on community organizations. So everything from urban gardens to people that are doing work in trans communities and making sure people have housing and food, because we're talking about that stability first. They have to be able to live autonomously, and then yes, we can educate them. Also linking arms with, again, mainstream organizations. I'm doing an experience actually with the Girls Club of the Lower East Side next week to be amongst 16, 17, 18-year-old young people and share what's going on with this plant and how to treat their bodies in a different way and not have the stigma attached is incredibly powerful. Leading with this weed auntie energy of I'm here to help you heal is really what I'm all about.
Yeah.
And so, yes, being able to give money to communities without any strings attached to do the work that they need to do to give stability to that community, and then also leaning in constantly and just being conscious in how I educate folks, whether it's in a healing experience or it's working for and linking arms with some other nonprofit organization, or it's amplifying those voices of people who are the experts to share their stories, to educate people in real time in a way that's consciously and not always just a talking head, workshops, activations, so people can actually touch what's going on from field to manufacturing facility to the production spaces, taking people on those trips to see it happen. Because again, it's one thing to talk about it in theory, it's another thing to walk into these spaces and understand the cost attached, the compliance, the location, who actually is able to stand up a business legally, and why are we telling everybody that this is the path? There are ancillary options that require so much less. There's a way for you to fit in without conforming to what the government is telling you you need to do. So find those people, listen to them, ask them questions and be curious. Don't just subscribe to whatever talking head is trying to get their agenda out, and make sure that when you're doing it, it's filled with passion, filled purpose and love. So go ahead.
Real quick, Ready, Set, Grow is M4MM's HBCU outreach program, and we can't talk to the kids yet. You know, a lot of these programs, if they're state funded or federally funded, they are not touching cannabis, rightfully so, because they're scared of losing their funding. But when it comes to adults, legal adults, so Ready, Set, Grow targets college students, obviously, HBCU specifically college students, helping them to understand how to be a part of this cannabis industry. So that's one of M4M's many programs. And so we have to start as young as we can. And so there aren't many curriculums in college that teach about cannabis education. And so that's one of our outreach programs.
I'm going to give you one last question. And, when I was asked to do this panel, I read the title and I thought about it for weeks on what it meant, what I could give to the community that watches this, that sees it, what was my responsibility being a part of this panel. And so that's my question to you. What was your responsibility sitting here right now? What were you supposed to give, and did you give it to the audience?
Well, I took an oath to protect and defend this country from both foreign and domestic. That was a life oath that I took, that I thank you, and that me and Sarah we both did it, and I've given my all. We just celebrated last week those who gave everything for Memorial Day, and so I think what I always make sure that I do is that I make sure that I leave nothing unsaid. You have a lot of things, you get off of these stages and you're like, oh shit, I should have said this. Hell no. I'm telling you everything, because because it's all on Google now. I mean, it's all on the internet. So I think it's just a matter of fulfilling that oath and taking it to the next step. Again, Sarah and I, what you all got today from both Sarah and I is a better return on investment than suicide. And you got 22 a day of those. And you tax-paying citizens pay for that shit. So what y'all spent about $7 million on me. I know they spent about 8, 9 on you. So I'm just saying, this right here, if we're going to put some numbers to things, yeah, it's a return on investment. And so that's what we're giving, and for us, we're fulfilling that. So I apologize for being so harsh, but at the same time, I have to be reflective of the time. Again, it's 2023. So to nice my way through this, that was a couple of train stops ago. Damn that. Shit is real now.
Absolutely.
I think that what I normally like to share with an audience when I speak about cannabis and my passion for it as medicine is understanding that your vote matters. That was a common theme in what we were talking about today. Educate yourselves, empower yourselves to know who is for it and who's against it. Where do they stand when it comes to sensible cannabis and health policy? But one of the things I like to say is, unless I buy all my food from a farmer's market. I'm plant-based. It goes along with my healing and how I take care of myself the best. And so I want, ideally, to be able to buy my medicine, my cannabis, from the farmer's market, directly from a farmer. And there aren't any situations like that right now that are legal. Right? And
it's happening in New York.
I know, I'm excited. I know. I heard that was something that the Cannabis Office decided that they wanted to do, and I think that's amazing. But that's what I want to see in cannabis 10 years from now. New York is the first, though. Imagine, we've got 33 states now that say you can use cannabis as medicine. None of them have come up with this concept yet, and it's not like it's a new concept. So you, as the consumer, have to be the one to say, I don't want weed that's grown in an airport hangar that gets radiated on so they can kill the microbials and the bacteria. Instead, I want to go directly to the farmer who's been growing it for decades and knows how to take care of the plant, understands the plant, and wants to give you the best medicine that they can provide. And so I want to see that small craft grower survive in this space. And in order for that to happen, we as consumers have to demand that type of medicine. And we have to be the ones that say, we don't want the garbage, we want the best quality medicine, and that's going to come from that small craft grower that knows what they're doing. And so we have to fight for them, because these MSOs have a lot more money than they do. And if we're not intentionally shopping and demanding that we get their flower, going into an MSO and saying, hey, do you have this local farmer? And if they don't, walk out. And so that's the message I want to leave with you all as consumers, as patients, to make sure that you're demanding the best quality product that is out there in the marketplace.
Can I just say, you hit like every key topic known to man, and the thing is what I love about our community, I really love about our community, is we hold each other accountable. We're there through our good times, we're there through our bad times. There's been times where I've had to call this boy and just be like, please take the boot out of my ass. My head is so shoved up there, I just need a friend right now to help me. But the thing is, what I love about this community is there are opportunities, there are incentives, there are ways to get in, whether through licensures or ancillary businesses. And for social justice, social equity applicants, We have incentives, but what I love about our community is we're raw with one another.
We all know each other.
We gotta know our true expectations. Create realistic expectations with yourself, with your company, with one another. But here's the place to figure it out. I have fucked up so much as being a cannabis cultivator who has a license holder, who runs a nonprofit. I've screwed up a lot, felt blindfolded trying to shoot a bullseye while navigating 8 years in this system that just doesn't exist. And now medical's unrolled, and now rec's unrolled, and I still feel blindfolded. But that's because with myself, balance was number one thing that I couldn't get. And number two, it was creating realistic expectations with myself. I'm not saying you can't do it, but be real with yourself, be real with the community around you. And the best thing you can do, network like a motherfucker. Connect with everybody here. While you're paying the money to walk through these doors, soak in the knowledge, soak in the education, embrace this beautiful community, but create realistic expectations with yourself and one another, and hold each other accountable.
Shout out to the CWCBExpo for leading these kinds of conversations.
Yes, thank you.
They've been doing this for years. Shout out to Christina Iannuzzi for being bold enough to want to make sure that these kinds of conversations continue to happen year after year after year, and I really love her for that.
Absolutely. And so to wrap up this panel, the last thing that I want to add is that if you're nervous, if you don't know what to do, reach out, find someone, find a mentor, but go online and create you some virtual cannabis real estate. My background is cannabis real estate, and so it's so simple. Just find an IEP address that has cannabis or something in it that you like, purchase it, and hold on to it. It's going to be worth thousands and thousands of dollars, just virtual real estate. I always lead with that, and I promise you, people have come back to me and made plenty of money just by selling their website to someone else. Thank you again for joining us. You guys have been amazing. Oh my God, y'all have been amazing. And I just really appreciate just this moment to make sure that we are moving forward.
Thank you, everyone.